Good evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, three-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight we have an amazing special guest by the name of Kenise Etwaru. For Kenise, it all began in her home country of Guyana, South America. Born and raised in the land of many waters, Kenise's parents, who were both pastors and missionaries, were integral in grooming her into the woman she is today. At the age of 9, Kenise and her family migrated to the United States. Kenise pursued her education and career in human resources, and she has built HR departments for major private and nonprofit organizations within New York City. However, she is more than just a human resource executive. She is a multi-talented and a trailblazer. Kenise is a songwriter, musician, recording artist, executive coach, author, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. Kenise is committed to guiding people and organizations into their highest potential, using her life experiences and her passion. She has traveled around the world to speak, sing, and encourage those that have no one else to turn to. Currently, Kenise resides in Long Island, New York, where she is the music minister and board member at her parents' church in Richmond Hill, Queens. Welcome to the table, Kenise.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you.
You are welcome. So you have such an amazing bio, Kenise, and I'm so honored and humbled to be able to have you at the table tonight. So would you please tell us more about your entrepreneur journey?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Ashley, for bringing me to the table, pulling out the seat at the table and allowing me to sit at the table. Thank you. It's an honor to be at the table. My entrepreneurship journey is it started just, I would say maybe 5 years ago. After my divorce, I've been divorced 7 years. I really focused on rebranding myself and finding myself, my identity, and, really focusing on me and the trauma that I went through going through a divorce. And I decided that, I wanted to do something for me. And that's where my entrepreneurial journey started. I decided that I wanted to start working as a consultant in my own business, working with nonprofits in New York City predominantly, building their HR department from scratch because that's my background. And then it just morphed into recording my first album, which I really wanted to do for many years with my original music. And then, then it morphed into writing my first book. So, and then now it's I'm coaching women. I'm collaborating with my sister in coaching women. So leadership coaching, which I love, executive coaching, which I absolutely love. And it just morphed. It's just one thing after the other, which I'm so excited about.
Amazing. I'm just loving your journey. And congratulations on your book. I love it.
Thank you.
So what is, please tell us more about your amazing book, The Good Wife and the Other Woman. I love the title. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, everybody loves the title. So I actually got the title before I had the content, so to speak. So The Good Wife and the Other Woman is actually the same person. It's not two different people. It is the same person. And the reason why I wrote it, that book is really based on, and I talk about these in my seminar, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. So when I got separated from my ex-husband, he sent me an email during our separation, and he said, "Tips for your next husband." And I'm like, how dare you send me tips from my ex-husband? And I never did. And about a year and a half ago, before I had the idea of writing the book, I went into my emails, and I saw this email, and which I told you I forgot that I received it. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, his tips were actually right. He was on point. And I started thinking about it as a good wife, which I thought I was. I really thought I was an amazing, amazing wife. That there are components that a man looks for with a wife in the good wife and the components that a man looks for if he were to step out of his marriage with the other woman. If you can put both of those components together, you can actually have a really successful woman in marriage with her husband and mom. So that's what I did. I took kind of that idea and made it into a self-help guide, because at the end of each chapter, it has a self-evaluation for women to evaluate themselves, kind of say where they are and how they want to improve themselves. And that's how the book kind of came together.
Amazing. So you say your book basically talks about, you took some components of both sides, right? So what are some of the components? Could you speak about a little bit of them without telling us about, too much?
Yeah. So, what I did was I took his tips that he gave me, and I really evaluated myself. And I said, okay, well, these are things that I knew, but I never focused on. And I guess he thought that I needed to focus on. There was no communication. One of the things I talked about is allowing the man to take the lead, allowing him to take the lead in a relationship, which a woman like yourself or myself, we're like go-getters. So, we're sitting at the table. I usually tell people I just don't want to eat at the table. I build a table. I build the chairs at the table. So I don't just want to sit at the table. I want to own the table, and this table is movable. I can take it anywhere. So I'm very I don't want to say aggressive. I think I'm very assertive because I've worked very hard for my education, for my career, to really push myself, up the ladder, being female, number one, and being a female of color. Number two, you have that glass ceiling, which I crashed that glass ceiling. So I felt, I think it's important that a woman in a relationship should definitely make her man, her guy, feel as if, let him know that he is still the head. He is still in charge. And how do you go about making him feel that way? How to be submissive without being a doormat. So I go into stuff like that. Those are the hot points. And then I talk about, just how do you speak to your husband? How do, in what context? And, because what he's looking for when he steps out of a relationship, or what attracts him, is a woman who's not constantly nagging, or a woman who's constantly putting him down. Men are very egotistical in a good way. We call it in a bad way, but, they don't like their egos to get hurt. And once you hurt that ego, it's really hard to go back and fix it. So because that's the way God made them. So so those are just some of the some of the very I touch on a lot of key areas, but those are some of the key points that I bring out in the book.
I love it because you're speaking on a lot of things that, need to be said. And I know when you touched on, switching those hats, because you have to know, especially when you're type A female, right?
Yeah,
you have to know how to switch the hats, when you get home.
No, right.
Yes.
And I didn't do that. So I was talking about leaving, because I used to bring the boardroom into the bedroom all the time. I was bringing the boardroom in the bedroom. So I was and these are things that nobody ever taught me. It's not something my mom sat down with me, and said, this is the way you need to be. But I was all about boardroom. So I brought it right into the bedroom, which did not work, obviously, for my marriage.
No. Yes. So definitely reach out and purchase her book, because this book is an amazing book. I'm on the edge of my seat right now, Kenise, what's next? Love it.
Thank you.
So what is some advice you would give to women who want to be married someday?
I would say you definitely want to get the book. Because it's great. I really wish, actually, in all honesty, I really wished I had this book as my guide before I even started really seriously dating. So I do go through in the book, in some later chapters, I talk about, when you get into that dating mode and you're ready to okay, I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, whatever age you are, that you feel all right, I'm at the point now when I want to seriously now start dating. What am I looking for in a guy? What questions? So I kind of hint on a few things, you want to, ensure you want to date up, and you also want to be able to talk about how do you bring up finances? How do you talk about, who's paying for what? How do you talk about if you make more money than he does? Like, how do you bring all of that stuff to the table? How do you guys discuss it? How do you disclose it? So those are really important things for a woman who, right now who's dating and is looking to get herself ready for marriage. Like, you need to know what you want before you even start seriously dating somebody, because get yourself ready to meet the man of your dreams and get yourself, like, plan it out already what you would like to ask him. So I do hint on that. I don't spend a lot of time on that, but I do hint on that, about family and children and where do you want to live and how do you want to live? Like, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Those are all really, really important questions, because, when you're dating somebody, it's kind of like they send their representatives. So you're not really dating the true person until, maybe a year or two into the relationship. They're sending their quote and unquote representative to the date. They're on their best behavior.
And I think you probably agree it's on both sides, right? Women and men. And those are conversations. And those are conversations that we all should be having. And sometimes people don't want to have those conversations, which, sometimes I would love to hear your opinion on this, sometimes creates a wrath later, right? Because you didn't have those conversations up front. So why do you think people are afraid? Why do you think people are afraid to have those conversations? So those conversations, like your credit and different things like that, those are life-changing conversations that need to be had up front.
Right, right. I think people are afraid. I can speak for the female side of it, and maybe it's probably the same for the male, but people are afraid of the answers. I think they're afraid of what the response is going to be, so we stay away from it. So, for instance, I know somebody who's getting married in October, and they really haven't talked about. He's much older than she is, and he has kids. He even has a grandchild, but so he's like in his mid-50s, and she's in her early 40s. But she doesn't have kids. She's never been married, but they never talked about children. And I'm like, at what point are you going to really nail down, children? Because you want children, but do you know if he wants children? Like, he already has grown children. He has kids in their late teens and 20s. When are you guys going to talk about this? Your wedding is in October. And it's like, I could tell that she's afraid because of the answer, that he's going to say he doesn't want kids.
Yeah. So we got to have those conversations.
You have to.
Important.
You have to.
So, Kenise, what is some advice? Let's just switch the tables right now. What is some advice you would give to that woman who is the good wife but is fed up? She's stuck right now. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know if she should stay or if she should go.
I'm not a proponent of divorce. I went through divorce. It was the most horrible experience I've ever gone through. I don't wish it on my worst enemy, especially if you have children, because the children become pawns in a divorce. They suffer the most. But I would never tell anybody to get a divorce. I mean, unless, you're in a domestic violence relationship, and there's certain huge red flags that I would say, oh my God, you need to get out of there. You need to get out of there quickly. But if you're in a marriage that you just feel you guys are moving apart, I'm not a therapist, but I think I have a lot of intuition. I think, I'm dealing with somebody right now she's been married for 4 years, and her husband, he told her that, I don't want any kids with you. I don't even know what we're doing in this marriage. And she was like, what do I do? What do I do? First of all, you have to be independent as a woman. I know a lot of women stay in marriages because they don't have a degree, they don't have a job, they don't even have their own savings account. They don't have finances, they don't have their own car. Everything is in his name. You want to make yourself independent, not in hopes of, that one day you're going to get a divorce, but you're just smart about it, being independent. So I would say if somebody's going through that type of situation right now, they're not sure what they want to do, is try counseling.
Okay.
Most of the times, the guy doesn't always want to be counseled. So I would say the first step is, try counseling. If you go to church, I would say, try to speak with your pastor, and try to talk out what is going on. Like, what are the issues? And again, I find that women don't want to talk about the issues because they're so terrified of what the response is going to be. I can't tell you actually how many. Sorry, I was just going to say that I can't tell you how many women have reached out to me because they're in that situation, right? What you just asked. So that's a great question.
Thank you, because I think listeners need to know that, because some people don't know what to do, right? And I'm a big believer in making sure you vent to and talk to someone that has been where you're at, and that specializes in it, of course. And I know you are not a therapist, but you have experience there. So I definitely want listeners that are listening to, if you're in that situation, reach out to Kenise and, seek counseling. Get her book as well, because like you stated, I'm not for divorce as well. So I believe that, work it out. But I've never been married, so I can't speak from that side, which is why we have you on the show. So I would love for you listeners to definitely get the book. And, Kenise has done a great job, very consistent with her book, and she's sharing some great tips that can help single and married people. So I just want to thank you and commend you for creating this space, Kenise, to have these types of conversations that need to be had.
Definitely. Thank you.
So let's talk more about your amazing coaching programs and the services that you offer. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so, it just, from the book, it morphed into this coaching. So I have to rebrand myself. So I'm not doing anything or helping women based on book knowledge. It's all my experience. So, a lot of the clients, ever since I started coaching this is now June 2019, I started coaching in March. So it's only been 3 months that I've just started to coach, really coach and spend time 6 weeks to 9 weeks coaching women. A lot of them have asked to be anonymous because they're going through relationship issues, but they really want to rebrand themselves. These are women who have amazing jobs or amazing careers, but can't get their act together when it comes to their relationship. So, they obviously don't want their friends and family to know, oh my gosh, I'm seeking help to rebrand myself. So the focus of the coaching is really to see where you are right now as a woman and where you want to go. And what I do is I use my own personal insights. So if a woman wants to get just a career push on their career, so they're at a manager level and they want to get to a VP, so they're making $90,000 a year, I'm helping them get over that threshold into the 6 figures. I work with a lot of single moms because I became a single mom, I went from double salary to, household 2 salaries to 1 salary. I was already making 6 figures, but I doubled. I went from the hundreds to the 200s, and how I did it. So I help single moms who are not making 6 figures on how they can get to 6 figures in their current career, or, we talk about business plans. And then I also work with women about rebranding themselves. So women who are coming out of a relationship or in a relationship, married, most of them are married, and they're just so set in their ways. And it's I could feel Kenise. The first conversation is usually Kenise, I just feel like he doesn't want me anymore. And I'm well, let's start from the beginning, and I do a huge, I spend a lot of time with them we start from practical things to personality traits to what other areas they can fix that will really perk themselves up. Because you can't be happy in your relationship if you're not happy with yourself. You know what I mean? Right. So I think it's if you are not presenting, and that happiness has to come from the inside, that joy, because I don't like the word happiness really, because happiness to me is dependent on what's happening in your life. So I use the word joy. So I find that when you're joyful on the inside, it just comes out. You just blast it out like a sunflower full of joy. So you cannot make your husband spouse or partner or whatever, boyfriend, happy or joyful or excited about you when you're not even excited about yourself. So we start there. So that's what I really do with the coaching.
I love that, and that's just one side of your coaching because you specialize in leadership, right? Leadership and organizations too. So let's talk about your coaching services on that side.
So I go into companies and I do a lot of trainings with their C-suite executives. So I would go in, I'm working with, so I do like to work with nonprofits. So I'm working with a bunch of mental health nonprofits right now. So I have like 6 clients I'm working with now. I go in, I analyze their leaders, their current structure that they have. I provide the training, what training needs. I create a training plan, and then I help them to build kind of their career progression within the agency or the organization. So if, I create their management lines and their directorship lines and their vice president lines. So then I do the training, sometimes in-house, or some of them I outsource, depending on the type of training. And I prepare each one of them for an executive level position. So, for instance, one company I'm working with, they're about $50 million in overall operating budget. So I went in. They have like 6 strong leaders, and I've taken their leaders since January, and I've been working on a monthly basis doing executive coaching with each one of them individually.
Amazing. And what are some things, because I love talking about leadership as well, what are some things that you found with some of your clients and, some contracts that you have of why some organizations are not growing? Because I know, a lot of it starts with the leaders as well, too. So sometimes that can cause the organization to be stuck as well, or, when there's a lot of turnover, or when, things are just, because everything starts from the head. And I know that because I'm an executive myself. So would you please elaborate on that a little bit more?
So why does the company get to build leaders?
Yeah, what are some things you have found that is the reason why some organizations are not growing? What are some things that you've seen with the clients that you have?
Well, I have seen, especially in nonprofit, because they're so used to running like a mom and pop shop, and all of a sudden overnight, like this particular one client that takes a lot of my time, they've been for 45 to 50 years, but they literally don't have leaders. And that's because, like you said, it comes from the top. So the CEO doesn't trust people, doesn't communicate very well. So I've been working with him. So it really depends on the leader, who's leading the organization, what type of leader they are, and then how that trickles down to the rest of the organization. In order to grow and build strong leaders, you have to invest in them. First of all, you have to pinpoint who they are, who you want to invest in, and how you want to grow them. So that means you're taking their strong areas and you're growing you're building on those, and then you're building on their weaknesses to help strengthen those weak areas that they have. And the best way to do that is allowing them to make mistakes. It's giving them autonomy, without micromanaging them. Because when you micromanage and pigeonhole people that are developing leaders, it's difficult for them to develop. So that's what I've found sometimes is a lack in the nonprofit world.
Yes, net delegation is so important because we cannot do it by ourselves, and I see it on. I agree with this, both sides. And what would you? Because I know you have an HR background as well. Of course, you entrepreneurship too. So we're coming from an HR background. What are some strategies you would give to listeners who are trying to move up the corporate ladder?
Well, first of all, you want to make a plan. I had a plan when I graduated with my undergrad, what role I wanted in the HR world. You have to do your homework. You have to research. Where do you want to go? You can't just point blank say, this is, I'm just going to go with the flow. And a lot of people just go with the flow, and they're just like waiting in the woodwork. Okay, I'll just wait for the promotion. Well, what promotion? Where are you going? What do you want? So I started out as an HR generalist, and then it was like 6 months into my career after my undergrad, I was offered an HR manager without me even asking for it. It was an HR manager, and I took the job. So you want to create a plan where you want to go and how much you want to make. So I knew what salary after I came out of college, what salary I was making. I started out like at $55,000. And then I knew by the time I turned 28 what salary I wanted to make. So these are all kind of either it's on your vision board or it's in your journal or it's in your plan for your career, which I think you need to write down. You need to go through it. Probably, I used to do it all the time. I used to go through it like on a monthly basis. This is my plan. This is how am I going to get there? What trainings do I need to take? Who do I need to talk to? Where do I need to go and network? So you can't sit at home and say, okay, I'm not getting that director level position or that supervisory position by sitting home. You're not going to get it.
Right, because you have to, I believe you have to do the work in order to win. So I'm a big believer in that. And so for our listeners that want to get to the next level in whether it's entrepreneurship or corporate America, just put in the work and know what you want to do, have a plan. So I agree with you, Kenise. That is so important on both sides of the field. And for everybody that is working a 9-to-5 and entrepreneurship, take what you're learning in corporate America and learn how they're making millions and billions of dollars and incorporate it in your business.
That's right.
So, Kenise, I asked all of my guests this question. I know you own the table, you boss the table. I asked my guests, how did you create your seat at the table?
Man, Ashley, you know what? The way I created my seat is just having a very, very strong desire to help other women. Mm-hmm. That's how I created my seat. I feel during this journey, it's so important to stay humble. I think it is so. I mean, I'm a Christian. I'm faith. I love God, and whether you're a Christian or not, whatever your belief system is, spirituality is important for me. Staying grounded is important for me. Building at the fact that, I want to help other people. And sometimes people don't understand that. Sometimes your miracle or your blessing is lined up when you help other people. I feel, not to, sound all crazy, but I just feel that's how that seat at the table I was able to go. And I don't take it lightly. I consider it to be an honor. I will always be that way. You would never know. I mean, I don't walk around arrogantly. I don't put down people. I don't talk about people. I don't bash women that are doing much better than I feel in my eyes are I'm like, they're amazing. I don't bash them. I don't talk about them. I don't speak negatively about people. I just feel if the world, especially with women, because we tend to be a little vindictive and that jealousy component, and then we get so competitive. I feel like, Ashley, if I can learn from you and you can learn from me, together we're a powerhouse, together. But if it's Ashley alone and Kenise alone struggling in our little corners, we're not going to be a powerhouse. So I think humility, collaboration, staying grounded are three things I feel for me that has helped me obtain a seat at the table.
Staying humble is so important. And everything that you said is major keys. Staying humble, that collaboration, right? Those things are so important because what we got to remember is our destiny is tied to our connection. And you never know who's the person that's connected to your next level. So that's why everybody should be treated with respect. And, you just never know who people are going to be, because I always tell people, do not ever despise small beginnings.
That's right.
Right. And I love the fact that you said you reach back and pull forward, because I say this on all my shows. A true successful leader is one who reaches back and pulls forward. If you're not reaching back and pulling forward, that's not success.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, I love that, Kenise. Love that. And we all have a journey. So what did failure teach you on your journey?
What did failure teach me on my journey? Oh, that's a good question. What did failure teach me on my journey? I don't even failure. For me, it's not failure. For me, it's like, okay, let me go to plan B. Plan B didn't work. All right, I'm going to go to plan C. Plan C didn't work. I'm going to go through all of the alphabet until I get there. So not my A not to work doesn't mean that I won't give up. That means I just need to tweak it for plan B. And then that didn't work, I'm going to tweak it again for plan B. So I feel you can't be lazy. If you want to make it in this life, you want to leave legacy, you want to be a history maker, you want people to read your stuff when you're long gone, you want your children to say, you know what, that's my great-great-grandma up there, you know, and this is what she did, and this is what she attained, and you want to leave that legacy. You can't give up. You can't be lazy. You have to be hungry. You have to be passionate. The failure taught me to be passionate and to never give up.
I love it because it's a lesson, right? To get up, learn from it, and keep going. I love
keep moving. Keep it moving.
Yes. So what did success teach you?
What did success mean to me? Okay. I just did a coaching webinar on success and what it means to me. Success for me is for the people around me to bring the people around me into success. That is success for me. So success for me is not Kenise alone standing under the spotlight. Success for Kenise is allowing, like you said, reaching back, but I want to reach to my side. I want to reach to my left, to my right. I want to reach back. I want to reach around north, south, east, and west to bring that people around me and see them and help walk them through a successful life. Because at the end of the day, money is going to come, money is going to go. It's really your name that is the most valuable thing that you will ever have. And I feel success to me is having a strong character to be able to bring people around that table and help them to create their own seats at that table.
Yes. To everything that you said, because pretty much what you summed up was chase the impact and be an influence. I love it.
Right.
I love it. So, Kenise, you have done some amazing things in 2019. Like I stated, I follow you and I see the great things that you're doing. You're consistent. You're doing some amazing things. So what can we expect from you the rest of 2019? And I know you move in silence, but whatever you can share with us, we would love to know.
So I'm really focusing on the coach. I said I'm collaborating with my sister who just finished publishing her first book also, and so she's a pediatrician / internist. So she's been working with me on the coaching, and we've been collaborating and doing workshops and seminars for women. My focus, I really want to focus on single moms, really helping single moms really attain their goals, for them to become, single mompreneurs. I am working on a second book and collaborating on another book. So I kind of my sequel to The Good Wife and the Other Woman, which is going to be working with men who have either married, single, because a lot of the feedback I've gotten from the women is we're trying to perfect ourselves, but what are the men doing? They always seem to be left behind. So I want to be collaborating with some wonderful guys that I've, rounded up. And we're going to write about, kind of the good husband and the other man, because, sometimes women, we're looking at other men and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish my husband was like that. So we want the husbands and the men to step up.
I love it. Well, congratulations on all the great things that you're doing, and all, you and your sister with the coaching business and her book. So just super congratulations, Kenise. I can't wait
Thank you.
The amazing things that God is going to continue to do in your life throughout 2019, because I know you still have some great things that you're going to do. So I just can't wait to see that. And will you please let our listeners know how they can follow and support you and purchase your book?
Sure. So they can follow me. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on LinkedIn through Kenise, Etwaru, so my first name and last name. And they can also go on my website, www.keniseetwaru.com. They can purchase my book on there, and they can also purchase my book, The Good Wife and the Other Woman, on Amazon.
I love it. So please go support Kenise. As I stated, she is amazing. She practices what she's preached. She's consistent, and she's just an amazing woman all the way around. So definitely go support her. Thank you so much, Kenise, for this amazing interview, and I can't wait to invite you back to the table. And just thank you for taking the time out to come to the table tonight.
Thank you, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. So I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Collins Marquis. I would like to give a special thanks to John Schamberger. And I would also like to give a special thanks to the amazing Jessica Mosley, as well as my intern from Tennessee State, Sarah, and my intern, Tyler, from Tennessee State. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.